We are jamming to the new music. This is a gridlock edition of On the Record. What a great way to end 2009, start 2010. On my left, but on the right, Marcus Carey, blogger, writer, lawyer, political operative extraordinaire. On my right, but on the left, Nathan Smith, former Democratic Party official, very active in fundraising for the party. These guys are all over what's going on. Let's get right to it. This poll came out this week, Nathan. Very stunning numbers for the Republican primary in the Senate. Rand Paul is leading Trey Grayson by 19 points. Is that, first of all, is this poll legitimate, and is Trey Grayson in trouble?
Well, I think when you start looking at a poll like that, Trey Grayson has to be very, very concerned. And as some people would say, maybe he got his goose cooked at Christmas time. I don't know for sure. But the fact is, 19 points will cost a lot of money to come out of that. And I think you look at it, and I think Trey Grayson is definitely what you would consider the Republican front runner originally. Yeah. But now I think with you're seeing a surge of Ron Paul and not Ron Paul, Rand Paul. I get them all confused. Right. And they're one and the same, I guess. But the fact is, what you're seeing here is you're seeing a movement toward in the right, moving further. The party as a primary moves to the right. You know, and the question is, can Trey move to the right to win the primary and move back to the center to win the fall? And it's getting more difficult for him every day. And when I said 19 points, if that poll holds true, which I believe it does, you know, the cost is he needs to outraise Rand Paul at this point 2-1 to be able to run more commercials and to get his name, because really he's not well known. The poll showed very much that he's not well known. But what's going to happen here is he's going to have to raise double the amount of money, and I don't think he's going to be able to do that.
Trey's not that well known.
Trey is not that well known, and I think he's going to have a tough time raising money. You know, December 31st is going to tell the story, how much money he raised, how much Rand Paul has raised, and if Trey has not outraised him, it's going to get very difficult. And you know, I was saying yesterday, you know, Rand Paul's people, they will take and give their kid a lump of coal out in the stocking to give $35 to Rand Paul. So, I mean, that's just the way those people are.
They are fired up. Marcus, is Trey Grayson in trouble?
I don't think Trey's in trouble, but it ought to be a wake-up call for him. This is a very credible polling group. I think their numbers in some other races recently have been right on the money.
Virginia, New Jersey, definitely.
Exactly.
Public policy polling is the poll.
Yeah, and I think that when they showed the kind of numbers and favorables for Rand Paul that they showed, I think it shocked a lot of people. I don't think Trey Grayson's in trouble because he has the muscle and the might of Mitch McConnell behind him, which is a significant factor both in terms of the ability to raise money and the ability to get the message out and the ability to twist arms to get votes. Now, the question becomes at this point whether or not Rand Paul, who I think recently has indicated he's back on track for another $600,000 or $700,000 this quarter, if not more, and is this far ahead in the polls, whether or not Mitch McConnell is going to start looking at Trey Grayson as a guy who hasn't done enough to earn his continued support and begins to look at another candidate. I don't know that's happening. We haven't heard anything more out of Kathy Bailey, but let's not forget the filing deadline's not till the end of January.
Nathan and I, we ran into each other last night. He thinks that might happen too. I don't see that happening at all. They've hitched their wagon to Grayson. This is a long-term strategy. McConnell often lays back and lets the other guy punch him out. But I will say this: we all know from covering campaigns and from being involved in campaigns that these things go in cycles. And when I was writing, I left the paper 3 months ago, Paul had all the buzz, and I think this poll is a reflection of that. He's absolutely captured the momentum early on. Marcus, you said when there's an event that the Paul people have going on your blog, Bluegrass Bulletin, they hit you with 40 emails and 20 Google alerts, and they're very active on getting the word out.
All the news has been from the Paul side of this campaign. I mean, I get 20, 30 Google alerts, I get 20, 30 press releases, I get pieces of information about the Paul campaign all day, every day. My BlackBerry fills up with that stuff. Not a single peep out of the Grayson campaign.
See, and I told the Grayson, that's what and again, that might be part of a bigger strategy, but I think they allowed Paul to grab a lot of momentum.
I think they originally wanted to ignore Rand Paul.
Yes.
And you can't ignore somebody. You can ignore, if he can raise $100,000, you could ignore him all day. But when the guy's got 1.7, you can't ignore that.
No.
Because he'll get his own message out. And he is definitely doing a better job at running this campaign early on than the Grayson campaign, which I would have never have guessed.
No, No, me neither.
And they are very disciplined. I mean, I will have to say, they are, you're right, with the Google, I mean, they are on it. I mean.
But they also had a big blip when Rand Paul's campaign spokesman, Chris Hightower, who I met a couple weeks ago when Rand Paul was in town, apparently it came out that he had a website that had a lot of racist comments on it. He was in a heavy metal band that was a freak show that had a lot of racist stuff, anti-Christian stuff, I think. Does that have legs in this campaign?
I think it would have more legs if we were talking about a general election. I think in a primary, and you're talking about a primary 6 months out, the guy's gone. Rand Paul got rid of him pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I think they want to make a lot about it, but I don't think there's much there.
What do you think, Marcus?
No, they got him out the door quick enough that I think they salvaged themselves.
Here's what I think. And the Inquirer did a story about this. A lot of the political experts are saying, the AP did a story about it, that no, it won't hurt him. But here's why I think you give something like that in the hands of Mitch McConnell, who knows how to run a campaign, who knows how to hit you in the head with the shovel. I think this shows that maybe some of the far right is extreme, and that they need to be feared, and they have these kind of beliefs. I don't think Rand Paul for a minute has these beliefs, but because this guy was involved, he can be saddled with Paul, and I would not be surprised to see ads about this. We're going to take a break, come back, talk about the Democratic side of the Senate race, and then talk about the issue everybody's talking about, health care. We'll be right back on Gridlock. Stay tuned.